Ever since I was a young child, I've always known that there was something different about me. I've always known that I was kind of odd, kind of off. And when I say young, I mean really young. Single digits. I'm talking ages 2, 3, 4, 5. Maybe not 2, but 3 and on. Like, I remember being in preschool and being very observant, abnormally observant for a kid that young. I was also very quiet, very, very, very quiet. It felt like for the very, very early parts of my life, I didn't talk that much. It's so strange how parents back then would overlook so many things if you got good grades, because here's the thing about me is that I'm very, very good at school. Always have been. I've never gotten a C. I was always an amazing student, always on the honor roll. I've always gotten amazing grades. School came easy to me. I never got in trouble. I always followed the rules. I always did what I was supposed to do. I was a great listener. I was great at following directions, following instructions. Teachers would praise me up and down. But then I wouldn't socialize. When I was in kindergarten, during recess, I literally, for 90% of the year, maybe not 90, but probably like 70 to 90% of the year, it's been so long, I would just sit on the bench and wait for recess to be over, and I would just watch the other kids play because I had no idea how to initiate conversation and socialize with other kids. I had no idea how to do it. And growing up, I had friends, but looking back, I definitely let way too much slide. And some of the stuff I didn't even clock until way later on in life, thinking about it at an older age. Autism is a misunderstood thing. People either see it as kid with the helmet on his head, he's flapping his arms around, he can't control himself, or they think of Sheldon Cooper. But it's a wide spectrum. I always feel like I'm this close to normalcy, but there's something blocking it. There's this barrier, there's this wall that prevents me from getting there. I've come a long way. When I was a teenager, my social skills were worse. My coping skills were worse. I was very depressed. I struggled with things like ideation. A lot of that stuff is better now. I've come a long way, but at the same time, there's other things in life that I still struggle with. It's crazy how it's like I'm this close, but so far at the same time. I've had girlfriends before. I've actually had a lot of girlfriends, I'm not gonna lie. But I've always struggled maintaining relationships like that. I have some friends now. I've had friends before, but at the same time, it's maintaining those relationships. Something that I've experienced when I was younger a lot would be I remember people would get mad at me, but I wouldn't fully understand why because I've never had malicious intent. I don't know if I was annoying or not picking up on cues properly. I don't fully understand it, but that's something I've experienced a lot, is people getting aggravated or people getting mad at me. I don't really experience it as much anymore, but even now sometimes it kind of will, creep its head back in. The thing with my autism, I have autism level 1, which is defined as high functioning, but there's days where it really doesn't feel like it. And then on top of autism level 1, I'm also diagnosed with OCD. And my parents, my mom especially, they kind of always knew that there was something up with me, but it would always get labeled as shyness or he's just quiet. But I always knew it was deeper than that. I always knew that it was deeper than just being shy or just being quiet. I'm neurodivergent. You know, growing up, I didn't even know what autism was. Didn't even know what it was. But then when I found out about it, when somebody like told me about what it was, I was like, "Oh my gosh, like maybe I should look into this." And there was this one other time when I was a little kid and my older brother's way older than me. He's like 12 years older than me. And I was a little kid in my house and his friend was over and he had a little brother who was on the spectrum and he said to my older brother, "Hey, I think your little brother is on the spectrum, but when you get good grades and when you're super well behaved, people overlook a lot of things, a lot of things." And I think that's why I was never properly diagnosed until I was a teenager. I'm in my early 20s now. I wish I would have gotten the proper support that I needed back then because I was very obviously struggling, but I feel like so much of my struggling was overlooked just because I got good grades. Good grades and had good behavior. One of the biggest things that I struggle with is maintaining employment. I'm currently employed right now, but I don't know how long it's going to last because I hate my job. The thing about jobs with me is that I'm a good worker and I do what I'm supposed to do. And I don't slack, I don't play funny business, I don't play games. But I reach a point, especially because I've only worked retail and fast food, I reach a point where it feels like the walls are closing in on me. And it leads me to just freak out and I end up quitting. It's really unfortunate. You know, the longest I've ever had a job was like over a year. It was working at a pizza place. Excuse me. And you know, I actually kind of enjoyed it, but the pay was so bad. $7.45 an hour because I was under 18. The pay was so bad. I was like, wow, I'm not going to waste my time here anymore. I remember working like 30 hours one time and the check was so low. I'm like, man, this is brutal. You know, I'm an accounting student in university right now, and I'm really, really trying to escape retail and fast food. I'm really just trying to escape that. I've come to the conclusion that I'm just not cut out for that type of work. I think that I can do well at certain retail places like clothing stores, but getting jobs nowadays is so unbelievably hard. I remember, you know, back when I was in high school, it was never this difficult. I feel like it's basically pulling a lottery. I mean, there's been times where I've objectively been a good fit for, you know, like a retail store. Objectively been a good fit. Like I remember I tried applying to Zoomies like no joke like 6 times. I think I tried applying there like 6 times over the course of the past couple years. I'm a skateboarder. I can ride a skateboard fluently. I know how to build boards. I know about all the clothing brands in there. I know how to work a cash register. That's basically the entire job is building skateboards and cashing people out at the register. And I would show up. I would show up and I would really try to get a position and it just wouldn't work. They would just hire somebody else. And it was so frustrating because then I would end up hearing that that person would end up just quit anyways after like a week. A lot of autistic people struggle with employment. They struggle finding jobs that actually are a good fit for them. And that's something that I have a lot of experience with that. Another thing is the burnout. Autistic burnout is a very, very real thing. It's just our neurological wiring. We're neurodivergent. It's just the way that we are. You know, that burnout, it can hit so hard. So hard. It's like you have no energy, just straight fatigue. You know, there's been times I've even gone to the doctor to get like blood work done because of how hard it can hit. And it's crazy because even like during my periods of unemployment, like I would just be chilling. And there's days where I'm just like, man, everything, the world is just too overwhelming for me to function. It's so strange how I can go for walks, I can skateboard, I can go to the gym and lift weights, I can get really good grades in school, get scholarships, maintain a high GPA. I can do all that. I can play guitar. I'm a great guitar player. I've been doing it since I was 11. But then there's just like this sensory aspect of existence in and of itself, and it's not smell or sight or sound or texture. It's not nothing like that, but it's just like being alive is just exhausting. It's so fatiguing. I'd be lying if I said that, I worry about my future. My goal is to get an office job. I'm not even chasing some crazy corporate dream of making, 500 grand a year. I'm not even chasing that. What I desperately want is just stability. I just want stability. I just want to be able to get up, and I just want to be able to sit down at my chair and open up my computer and get my day's work done and go home. That's honestly what I dream of. And I'm working towards that. I'm really working towards that. But sometimes I'm scared that wall I was talking about earlier, sometimes I'm scared that it's going to prevent me from ever getting there. Maybe I'm catastrophizing. I really hope I am. Being autistic is hard. A lot of people, they see the stuff online, especially with the way that some people romanticize it and some people make it seem all cutesy, but autism is hard. For the people that truly have it, they know that it's not easy. That's kind of why I wanted to get started on this YouTube thing. I want to try and connect with people. I've always been interested in this talking head space where people just share their thoughts and express how they feel. I've seen so many creators build these super large followings just making videos like this, and it's like, why? I'm going to give this a try. And I might not have the best setup, I might not have the best background or the best lighting, I might not be the best looking person, but what I'm saying is real and it's honest. Society isn't built for people who are neurodivergent. Like almost at every level, it's just not built for people that with my type of wiring. And it can just be so stressful, so fatiguing and so overwhelming just navigating this world. And I always try to remain optimistic. I always try to be positive. I always try to, let's try to keep moving forward and be optimistic and be positive. Because when I was a teenager growing up, I struggled with depression and ideation really bad. Really, really, really bad. But I'm happy to say that I got out of that. I struggled with it for years and years, but I got out of it. And I want to try to keep moving forward, keep being optimistic, keep being positive. But there's days where it's hard. There's days where it's like, am I cooked? Sometimes I feel cooked. Lately, I've been feeling cooked because, it's 12 a.m. It just turned Wednesday, and it's like I know that when I wake up tomorrow, I'm going to have to go to bed, and I'm going to have to go to this job that I hate. But at the same time, I don't want to be unemployed. I don't want to be unemployed. I'm actually doing the training modules for substitute teaching. I have enough college credits, and I think I'm going to do substitute teaching. Because at least with substitute teaching, unlike retail and fast food, you get to sit down. I understand dealing with children can be very difficult, but at least you get to sit down. To me, sitting down and making money, that's a luxury. That's a luxury. Nobody in my family has ever had a job like that where they're like just able to sit down and make money. All the men in my family are very blue collar. And they always told me, Brian, don't do this. Don't be blue collar. Like, just don't. Get out of this. Like, break this cycle. Like, go to college. Get a degree in something. Whoa, there's a spider coming down. There's a spider right there, like coming down on a web. I'm just gonna kind of like pay attention to that and see what he does. Sorry, that was like a weird interruption. Just random spider just coming down onto the table. Kind of lost my train of thought. Oh, yeah. They always told me to don't be blue collar. Go to college, get your degree, get your education, work in an office. And honestly, I totally understand it and I agree. At least for me. There's some people that, they hear about, oh, working in an office, like staring at a computer all day. Like, I would go crazy. I could never do that. And it's like, dude, that's my dream. That's my dream. To just sit at a computer and make my living from a computer, man. That's a dream to me. But everybody's different, For some reason, some people seem to thrive off of very hectic environments like retail, At this place I'm working at a grocery store, pushing carts. The person that hired me, she was like, yeah, I used to be an accountant, but I hated my job and I liked retail more. And I'm like, what? It's like, dude, let me have your old job, man. Honestly, dude, there's times where if this is the dividing line between normalcy and special needs, like if this side is special needs and this is normalcy, it feels like I'm right on the edge. Genuinely. I mean that sincerely. Sometimes it feels like I'm right on the edge of special needs. But with high functioning autism level 1, it's invisible to other people. Another very strange thing about autism is people will meet me and some people will be like, I clocked that you were autistic immediately. You didn't even have to say anything. I could just see it on your face. But then there's other people that know me and they're like, there's no way you're autistic, dude. There's no possible way. And it's like they don't believe me even though I'm medically diagnosed with it. On the surface, it's like you can be cordial in public, you can conduct yourself properly, you can just be normal enough to where people might not notice it, but it's a permanent thing. You always have it. It's always there. And it's like people don't seem to understand that. In my opinion, it is a disability. It's a handicap. I wish I didn't have autism. I think my life would genuinely be easier. I think I'd be able to tolerate more. I think I would have a bigger advantage in life. But at the same time, I don't want to spend my life sulking about it. I want to try to take the cards I was dealt because, I could have been dealt a way worse deck of cards. I just want to try to take the cards I was dealt and just try to play the best hand that I can. I don't know, man. I just kind of wanted to hop on here and do a little freestyle session about my experience with autism, man. Autism ain't easy. Some people like to romanticize it and doll it all up and make it seem like it's this cute little quirky thing like everybody's Sheldon Cooper. Nah, man. Autism ain't like that. There's things like meltdowns, there's things like sensory issues, there's things like socialization issues, there's even things like health issues and sleep issues. I see things online about these chronic illnesses being correlated with autism, things like fibromyalgia or things like irritable bowel syndrome or even autoimmune disorders. Like I see, online, like in the autism communities and the forums, there'll be like, oh yeah, like I have this and I have that and I have this. Not sure if I mentioned it earlier, but my official diagnoses are autism level 1 and OCD. In my opinion, autism and OCD almost kind of go hand in hand. But at the same time, autism is a spectrum. It affects everybody differently. It always feels like I'm right there, so close to being normal. And I've come a long way. But it always feels like I'm right there, but something just blocks me. It's the strangest feeling in the world, but I've been dealing with it for as long as I've been conscious, as long as I can remember. At least since preschool. Easy. And I've had friends I got some friends now. I actually have some pretty good friends now, but, I've had friends, I've had girlfriends, quite a few girlfriends, and it's like, I might be able to get it started, but I have a hard time maintaining it in the way that I would like to. Employment, I have a hard time maintaining employment. It's like, you can get a 3.9 GPA, Dean's List, honor roll, but, maintaining a fast food or a retail job, it's so difficult for me. It's so hard. And I want to be employed. I want to be working. I want to be making money, but it's like, I don't know, man. Sometimes it's like I just get so like claustrophobic about it. Like when I'm there and it's like it feels like the walls are closing in on me. It feels like I'm about to explode and just fall apart. It's that autistic burnout, man. It's brutal. When I'm really, really interested in something, when I'm genuinely really intrigued about something, when something interests me, it's like I excel at it. I'm very good at guitar. I excelled at guitar. I excelled at music production. I excelled at school. I'm not the strongest guy around by any means, but I used to be very, very, very weak, and I got my bench to be over 200 pounds at one point. I excelled in that sense. For a little bit, I got really, really, really good with my diet, and I was eating super clean at that. Eating really clean. I excelled at that. I've read a lot of books. Like, when I'm not the best reader, but when I'm really into a book and I find it very useful in some way, it's like I excel at reading it. I get the highlighter out and I start retaining all the information. But then with other things, it's like I might as well be slow. And I think every autistic person can relate to that. With some things, it's like you're brilliant, naturally gifted even. But then with other things, it's like you might as well be slow. You might as well have special needs. I think neurodivergent people, I think we need more representation. I think we need society to take us more seriously. A lot of us get walked over. A lot of us don't get taken seriously. A lot of us, there's been periods in my life where it felt like I was a punching bag. From so-called friends that I had, from family members that I had to cut off. It felt like I was a punching bag. I don't know, man. I just wanted to hop on here and do a little freestyle session about my experience with autism. Hopefully, I did a good job at articulating myself, a decent job at least. I'm definitely going to be making more videos. So, if this type of content, if you like it, if you relate to it, if you resonate with it, just this raw one-on-one style content, feel free to subscribe, send me a like, and, guys, I want you to write in the comments your experiences with autism. I'd really like to read some of your guys' experiences. All right, signing off. You guys have a great day.